The Jackson 5 made their first concert appearance as a Motown attraction at the Philadelphia Convention Center on Saturday evening, May 2nd, 1970. Despite their terrific record sales, no one could have guessed how popular they have become in literally 5 months. More than 3,500 screaming fans mobbed Philadelphia International Airport, hoping to catch a glimpse of the young brothers. Only a huge force of Philadelphia's finest and airport security officers protected the Jacksons from being completely overwhelmed. The scene was repeated the following evening at the concert, with 100 police officers forcing the IANs back from the stage time and time again. Three motorcycle escort limousines managed to get the Jackson 5 back to their hotel after the concert. Once Michael got into his room, he broke down and started crying. Michael, who was 11 years old, was scared to death. Jermaine said, "The rest of us were amazed, then scared, but Mike was genuinely frightened. I don't know if I can do this forever," he said. "Maybe for a little while, but not forever." The phenomenon served as a warning to Motown that the next time the brothers made a concert appearance, the company should be better prepared. That same month, the Jackson 5's second album, ABC, was released. It would go on to be even more successful than the debut album, selling 867,756 copies. After the second album was shipped, Berry arranged for the family to move from the home on Queens Road to a bigger one on Beaumont Drive above Trezon's estates. LeBrun's lived nearby, as did Davy Jones of the Monkees. They, the Jacksons, were kicked out of several homes. Barry Gordy explained to Michael Goldberg in an interview in Rolling Stone, "You see, they would make too much noise. They had their band, and we would put them in the house, and they would get kicked out. We'd leave another place, and they will make too much noise, and they get kicked out." In July 1970, the Jackson 5 broke attendance records at the Los Angeles Forum, ranking up 18,675 paid admissions. The concert grossed $105,000. "I was at the concert at the Forum with Barry and Diana," said the group's producer Dick Richards. "We almost got trampled to death. Before they started to Live You Safe, Michael said something like, 'Here it is,' the tune that knocked the Beatles out #1. And that caused sheer pandemonium. We were in the third row, and in the middle of the concert, I heard this tumultuous sound, and the rows were folding one at a time, people falling over themselves. Someone ran onto the stage and got the kids off. They didn't even finish the song. Barry, Dan, and I got out of our row just in time before it was toppled over by kids trying to get to the stage." A month later, the company issued the Jackson 5's first ballad, "I'll Be There," switching gears to a ballad seemed to Gorey to be the obvious next step. Yet it would have to be the right song in order to be accepted by fans accustomed to an upbeat sound. "I'll Be There" was a tender blend of soulful pleading and sweetly delivered inspiration to the strains of harpsichords and keyboards. Michael's performance was flawless. The song is considered to be the one record that solidified the Jackson 5's success as a versatile recording stars. It was #1 for 5 weeks in America, selling more than 2.5 million copies worldwide, 250,000 of these in the UK alone. Its top positioning in the UK as #4. and it remained in the British charts for more than 4 months. I'll Be There pushed Neil Diamond's Sparkling Rosie out of the number one position on Billboard's top charts and became Motown's biggest selling record. The company claimed that over 4 million copies were eventually sold, but actually the figure totaled some 800,000 copies, less than that, at 3,178,523 copies. In the end, the Jackson 5 became the first act in pop music history whose first four singles each became number one hits on the Billboard chart. Or as Michael put it just kept getting better and better. In October 1970, the group took their act on the road again for additional dates on the East Coast. 3 dates in Texas were placed in jeopardy, though, when the concerts were opposed by members of the Southern Christian Leadership Council's Operation Breastback, an organization dedicated to improving economic conditions in the black community. Dick Clark was promoting the tour, and Breadbasket representatives felt that someone black should be hired by Motown. That that's absolutely ridiculous, Bertigori said. Black, white, what the hell's the difference as long as we will make money? Still, the protesters had leaflets printed up and were preparing to picket at the concert sites. The press was waiting for a scandal, just what we need. Barry told a Motown promoter working with Dick Clark. Cancel. Tell Clark to cancel the whole goddamn state. They'll see the Jackson 5 when they get some sense. The dates were canceled. The Jackson 5 were bigger than any race issue, Barry Gordy later said. No one can tell me how to run these boys' careers, black or white. I made the decision. This is my group. No doubt Barry's declaration would have been news to Joseph. By January 1971, 12-year-old Michael Jackson understood that entertainment was a difficult business. He had witnessed as much in the last couple of years, but still managed to take in his stride the pressures of recording, touring, and making television appearances. His success was still new to be anything but a constant thrill. This is the best thing that ever happened to us, Michael said of his family's accomplishments. Miss Ross has told me that people in the show business can get hurt. I don't see how. At this time, Motown issued the Jackson 5's fifth single, Mama's Pearl. On this stylistic par with their previous upbeat singles, this one featured Michael in the lead again, of course, surrounded by his brothers, offering an occasional lead line through the verses. There are buzzing guitars on the choruses and the cooperations, swirling production throughout. From the beginning, there had been some hesitation about Mama's Pearl. Deck Richards had decided to have Fonz Mizzle and Freddie Perrin working in with them to see what they would create. Deck walked into the studio, find Michael singing the lyric. He said what's mine is his and his is all mine. What they had come up with for Michael was a song called Guess Who's Making Whoopee with Your Girlfriend, which was about girl swapping. Certainly not the right image for the youngster. Deck had Fonz and Freddie rework the lyrics, not the track, and in a short time they come up with Mama's Pearl. Even though the record only went to the number 2 in Billboard charts, only, it was number 1 on cash boxes, so Barry was satisfied. In the UK, though, it was only picked at number 25. The year had been off to a sentimental start when, on January 31st, the Jackson 5 returned to Gary, Indiana, their hometown. At this time, Jackie was 19, Tito 7, Jermaine 16, Ryan 13, and Michael 12. On behalf of Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher's recollection campaign, the group was asked to perform two concerts at Westside High School. The distance between Gary and Los Angeles can be measured in miles, but the distance between Gary and the star can only be measured in light years. Going home as landed, nope, as stars, the Jackson 5 brothers arrived in grand style in a helicopter that landed in Westside High's parking lot. There, 2,000 students had gathered in a sub-zero weather to greet them. Both concerts were sellouts. 15,000 lucky ticket holders came to pay homage to five homeboys. 2 years ago, many of these same neighborhood kids had thrown stones at the Jackson house to taunt the group as they rehearsed. Now they were sharing in their success, proud to know that they all come up from the same streets. As the spotlights revealed the Jacksons in the Rainbow Hood Regalia, the group's fans could not be contained. The gym was packed to the rafters with what was probably the noisiest audience the boys had far encountered. There are so many flashbulbs popping at once. It looked as though flocks of fireflies came in a swarm. After the first concert, Mayor Hatcher occurred the Jackson family back to their former residence on Jackson Street, which had for the day been renamed Jackson 5 Boulevard in their honor. A sign was placed on the lawn in front of the old homestead at 2300 Jackson Street. Welcome home, Jackson 5, keepers of the dream. Afterward, as the limo pulled away, fans hurled themselves at its tightly closed window. Inside, the boys smiled and waved, amazed at the frenzy. Their next stop was City Hall, where the group was presented with individual keys to the city. The boys had returned home as heroes, symbol of hope. In his speech that day, Mayor Hatcher said he was honored that the Jackson 5 has carried the name of Gary throughout the country and the world, and it made a name to be proud of. Joseph could not have been more proud of his boys. He stood at the podium and said, "One thing I've always told my boys is that you're either a winner or this life or loser. And none of my kids were ever going to be losers. I'm proud to say that they proved me right." The Jackson 5's next single, Never Can Say Goodbye, would be released in March 1971 and peaked at number 2 a month later, selling almost 2 million copies. It only managed at number 33 in the UK, though, so Gorey was becoming a little concerned about the group's international appeal. Still, it was a memorable record. The song's writer, actor Clifton Davis, recalled, "This was an emotional song that meant a lot to me when I wrote it. I was worried that Michael might not be understand the words of pain and heartbreak. I would call him, asking about one of the lines. Was his remain anguished?" he asked. I explained it. He shrugged his shoulders and just sang the line. "There's that anguish, there's no doubt," he's saying, and I believed him.